Let's return to Paolo Von Schirach. He's the president of the Global Policy Institute here in Washington. If you're joining us at the top of the hour, you gave us a real breakdown of just kind of the development trajectories of these countries. Let's talk about commitments as well, because one of South Africa's leading multi-platform content providers had an opinion piece. This was November of 2018. Questioning Jair Bolsonaro's policies, which the author described as the virtual antithesis of the trajectory that BRICS as a grouping was moving towards. And of course, there were concerns when he was elected. How much of a commitment is he going to have to BRICS? What are we seeing here?
Well, the agreement just announced that, your reporters indicated, it looks between China and Brazil, looks very promising, which would say that the worst fears about a nationalist sort of introverted, not participatory new Brazilian government is not really happening. That Brazil, notwithstanding the fact that Bolsonaro, seems to have a good personal relationship with Mr. Trump, who, of course, as we know, is against globalization and for economic nationalism, blah, blah, blah. Nonetheless, Bolsonaro, also as the host of this particular BRICS meeting, is quite interested in engaging its partners, China in particular, and indicating that there's a lot to be gained for Brazil in getting Chinese investments in infrastructure and deepening their markets, their export markets for Brazilian commodities, while receiving technology and other significant investments from China, which is to say, after all, things haven't changed that much in Brazil.
It's interesting, though, in a sense, Brazil's benefited from the trade friction between these two countries because there was that gap. China needs those soybeans. Brazil's got them.
Happy to fill the gap.
Let me talk to you a little bit about that, because he was in China last month, and at the time he said China and Brazil were born to walk together, saying that they were aligned in a way that reaches beyond our commercial and business relationship. So there's Jair Bolsonaro, the candidate, and now the president. He's much more of a pragmatist now, isn't he?
Yes, absolutely. And again, look, Brazil, as I said, is not doing very well, the economy. That's the internal issues, problems that have to, in the aftermath of an enormous corruption scandal that put many economic activities as a stand. This is a totally domestic issue within Brazil. But Bolsonaro came along as the anti-corruption candidate and what have you. But now he realizes he has to do something to favor economic development and economic growth. And Brazil is mostly an exporter of commodities, hence the soybeans you alluded to a moment ago. But China has technology and has and great experience and know-how in building infrastructure. Look what they've done in China itself: ports, airports, high-speed trains, and all that. Brazil is an enormous country, but largely underdeveloped. And so can Brazil benefit from a partnership with Chinese, say, engineering companies, infrastructure companies that can upgrade the stock of Brazil's logistics? Absolutely. Of course, they'd be willing to talk to anybody, but if the Chinese are more willing than others to step in and to say, hey, we can help, and here's the financing, and here's the opportunities, and here's the win-win proposition, I don't see why not.
These are emerging powers at the time when they created this alliance. And there was a lot of question, are they trying to kind of do a reset? What's going to be the impact on the global order? Are they going to try and change the rules of the game? Are they just going to try and nibble around the edges? We're seeing them doing mostly deals. Do you see them making an impact in that regard?
I am not sure that we're going to see a new global agenda promoted by the BRICS. As we know, China has ambitious plans from the, as everybody knows, the Belt and Road, engaging the countries in Central Asia and beyond, going all the way to Europe and Africa and whatnot. And I think that China, in this context, is continuing its sort of multilateral engagement agenda by strengthening the ties with these significant developing economies. But I do not see here that we see an alternative how can I say, worldview that says, okay, this has been the world of the post-war world, engineered and structured and largely inspired by the United States with the Bretton Woods institutions, the World Bank, the IMF and all that, which, by the way, are all still in Washington, D.C. There are doubts about the IMF, by the way, coming soon. But here's a new world, a new vision. I don't see that, the contours of that emerging, but I see certainly great opportunities in the strengthened cooperation, which would be, yes, a lot of deals, but deals, after all, there's things that make things happen, right?
Everybody's...
So, and if the deals are fruitful and successful in countries, and there is mutual advantage in all this, it's pretty good.
Yeah, everybody's always looking for deals. Paulo, thanks so much.
You're very welcome.